Okay. So, well, good afternoon, good night, buenas noches, buena tarde, buena nit, or whatever the day part you are on right now. We are here with two super great speakers about a super trendy thing. We are here with Tanja and Ivar, and they are going to talk about Jakarta EE 9. But first of all, I need to present who is hosting this presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. By the way, I'm Jonathan, so one of the members of the Barcelona JAC, and I'm going to share with you what is the Barcelona JAC. Let me present my screen. Okay, so you should see my presentation, my slides. Okay, so well, we are the Barcelona Java users group here in the beautiful city, but locked down city of Barcelona. And well, we are right now more than 1,600 members in Meetup, that it is the main social channel that we use, especially to organize the meetups. And we've been running this kind of meetups since 2012, so it's quite a long time. And basically, we gather to share ideas, technologies, frameworks, or simply, well, when it was possible, to share some beers and pizza. Nowadays, we need to share that virtually. Well, mainly it's about Java technologies, but we have talked about different technologies, not only Java. Here you have the few links that you can use to contact us, the main website, but I would recommend you to follow us on Meetup, that it is the main one that we maintain. Also our Twitter handle. You can go also to Flickr or to Slack in order to see our pictures from past conferences, or even to Slack to ask for some help or share ideas there. And also, why not the JVC and Conf link for the conference that we organize every year. So as I said, we've organized different technologies events, from Camel to more recently Quarkus, Kubernetes, Acidoctor, or Arquillian. And also we organized the JVC and Conf in 2019. Unfortunately, the 2020 was canceled. And well, the previous one had more than 700 attendees, more than 70 speakers during 3 days, and talking about the functional programming, integration, design patterns, Kubernetes, why not, and different Java flavors. I want to share with you some pictures because, well, I have my heart here in order for you to have an order of magnitude that how it was if you didn't attend. We are already planning the 2021 edition this next July, and let's hope for the better and that we can organize it. And well, everything is possible, but with all these people that are helping and working hard on the conference and also on the JAC. Well, the announcement for the JVC and Conf next 12 to 14 of July 2021 in the same place, the CCB, near the beach, and let's hope for it to be organized. And I want to thank, especially now that you are here, the Jakarta EE and Eclipse Foundation, just for giving us the opportunity and the connection to stream these events. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. I encourage you to go to, obviously, to the Jakarta EE webpage, follow them on Twitter, and check for all the announcements and the technologies behind them. And well, just for finishing, if you have something that you would like to hear about, or you want to talk about some technologies, please reach us and we will try to organize an event, or simply we will facilitate your event if you want to be a speaker. We are here for that. And we are here to attend to the event, today's event, from Tanja and Ivar, and they are going to talk about Jakarta EE 9 and beyond, and well, the moving from the javax package to Jakarta and some other functionalities that they are going to talk about. So I don't want to steal more time for the presentation. And Tanja, Ivar, the stage is yours.
Oh, thank you so much. So Ivar will share his screen. He's driving the presentation. And let me just, you know, kind of again introduce myself. So my name is Tanja Obradović, and I work very closely with Ivar at the Eclipse Foundation as Jakarta EE Program Manager.
And my name is Ivar Grimstad. I'm the Jakarta EE Developer Advocate at Eclipse Foundation, and we're super happy to be here to present Jakarta EE 9 and beyond for you. And let's hope we can come and visit you in July on the beach.
Oh yeah, that would be ideal.
Yeah, we hope so. Thank you.
Yeah, so the stuff we will go through today is a little background around Jakarta EE, what's it all about, and how we got where we are. And then we will talk about the Jakarta EE 9 release, have a demo, how to get started with it. And we will also look a little what's happening after Jakarta EE 9. So Jakarta EE, you're probably familiar with the logo by now. And how we got here. We started out as Java EE under the Java community process within Oracle. And in 2017, when Oracle decided to donate this technology to an open source foundation, the Eclipse Foundation was selected, and all the technologies, the specifications, all the tests, the documents, all the implementations were transferred to the EE4J top-level project, where we generate the or create the Jakarta EE specifications from. And the name is also a kind of interesting story. We had a big vote or a community effort to come up with names, and there were hundreds of them. We kind of narrowed it down and had a couple left, and one in particular were more popular, and that was Jakarta. And as you're probably familiar with the old Apache Jakarta project, which was the top-level Java project at Apache Foundation. So we approached the Apache Software Foundation and asked if we can have that name, and they said yes. So from that, we got Jakarta, and we added the EEs at the end. So that's Jakarta EE.
So from the name to the code, all the way, it's open source.
Yes, it is. And the webpage, super easy to remember. It's jakarta.ee. That's all you need to know. And if you take anything away from this talk, that's the URL to visit afterwards. So Jakarta EE is about specifications, but we also add an open in front of it. So why don't you explain what we mean by that, Tanja?
Okay, so as Ivar was pointing out, Java EE is all about specifications and code and JCP process. And once it transferred to Eclipse Foundation, we wanted to ensure that we provide this great technology as an open source in as open as possible manner. So we have now created a specification process that is also completely open. So what do we mean by that? So those are the couple of or few points that we want to highlight in terms of the openness of the specifications. So the approach is to ensure that we do code first, and prove that something is worthy of a specification, and then write the documents and finalize the create the specification per se. So that is kind of different from what the JCP approach was. They were first creating the document and then writing the code based on the specification document. We also want to make sure that we're even more collaborative than it used to be. So what it means is there is a team gathered about around each of the specifications, and every single person on that team working on the specification has absolutely equal rights. We don't have the lead that is making final decisions or something like that. We do have a lead that is point of contact for the whole project team, but hers or his roles are role is no different than any other team member. The documents and TCKs, so the specification documents, and particularly important and interesting for the developers, test compatibility kits or TCKs are now open source. So everyone can go and see what is written, make suggestions, make corrections, and same with TCKs. Everyone can go and challenge the test if there is a reason for that, and they can actually see what is being tested and how is it being tested. And now that you have those TCKs open, the requirement is to actually have one or more compatible implementations, so you can run your the test against them to create and verify the specification, final version of the specification. So previously we had the reference implementation, and there was always one reference implementation. Now the compatible implementations can be different from the release to release. So far, we always had our compatible implementation to be Glassfish, but that doesn't mean that we cannot have others or we cannot change that in the future. Certification is quite different as well. Right now, we're doing the self-certification. So everyone who wants to certify their product is more than welcome to do so. Certification is free and available to everyone. However, if you want to be promoted as one of the compatible products of Jakarta EE, there is a process to follow for that. So basically, you are obligated to show off your results and make them available. Go through the self-certification process, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So the next step is then the actual development of the specifications, and for that we have this specification process.
Yeah, and that's this one here. Excuse me, is Jakarta EE specification process that if you just for a moment don't pay attention on those purplish boxes with reviews, it's really no different than any other development process. If you're starting from scratch, you have a proposal. If you are developing a new version, you have a plan, and then you enter a development stage, and you are reaching out certain milestones. At some point, you are ready to produce a specification version, and if needed, you go through additional iterations, or you produce your final specification. We call it ratified final specification. Now, reviews are here just to, first of all, ensure that the specifications that we're developing are fitting into a larger picture of the set of the whole set of specifications of Jakarta EE. So in the reviews for creation or plan review, that's kind of a starting point proposal that is put forward in front of the specification committee. And then we could have, depending on the timelines, we could have a progress review or not. But we will absolutely always have the release review before the specification is released. The reviews are there to, again, ensure the process is followed, and by that, what that implies is, certain steps are not omitted, and the quality of specification production is as we want it to be. So let's see what's next after specifications.
Yeah. So.
Oh.
Yeah. I've changed the order a little bit in case you noticed, but.
Yeah, I do notice that.
So let's talk about what the specification is then.
Okay, so what exactly is a specification? So each specification consists in those 2 or 3 artifacts if you are counting in test compatibility kit. So there is a specification document that describes the specification. There is the interface or API that is going to be used for to guide the implementation. And then there is the TCK that will be used so you can test your code that you develop against the compatible implementation. So those 3 artifacts, specification, document, API, and TCK, are actually defining each of the specifications. And this is our final specification that is going to be successfully tested against compatible implementation or implementations, rather. So that is what the specification is. Now, Jakarta, compatible implementations. What are those?
So you talked about that we need compatible implementations to test that the specification is implementable, and we have a lot of compatible implementations. Actually, each specification has at least one compatible implementation, but we also have compatible products, and these are the products that are implementing the Jakarta EE platform profile or the web profile. And this is the list we have currently on our webpage, and there are new ones coming every day. So it's pretty big ecosystem so far.
Yeah, and if you noticed in just so these compatible products that you're seeing here are all compatible or certified against Jakarta E8. Currently, we have Glassfish certified for Jakarta E9, and people or companies are working very hard to continue certifying their products against the Jakarta E9. Super excited with the number of products that we have. I think we're all more than pleasantly surprised by this. So, we're very happy with what we have so far.
Yeah. So let's. You mentioned this was Jakarta E8, and the current version is Jakarta E9. And Jakarta E9 is a large set of specifications. It's the same specifications as were in JakartaEE 8, only that we've taken away some stuff to make it easier. So the specifications that are not being continued or are staying as they are marked in gray here. The XML and SOAP specifications, they are still there, they're still available, they're implemented and everything, and but we are not developing them any further, at least not for now. So I think there are, is it 34 or 35 specifications in total that we are?
I think 34 that we counted last time. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see they're grouped into what we call profiles, and we have the web profile, which is targeting the more web applications. This is the platform you will typically usually use, unless you have some legacy integration you have to do, or are using some messaging systems or that kind of things. Then you probably will use the full profile, and most implementations support both. And JakartaEE 9 is available now. You can get it from our compatibility page. You can also get it from the vendors when they publish it. I think most of them have some sort of release candidate or alpha or beta version out there you can test. So you can go to each vendor and get their latest version or nightly builds. And when they are available as certified products, they will pop up on this compatibility page where you can download them there for convenience. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the focus areas of JakartaEE 9?
Sure. So let me just have the intro sentence for JakartaEE 8. So as if you are not familiar, the JakartaEE 8 was really equivalent to Java EE 8. And that was deliberate because we have to transfer all the code and all the technology and make builds on the Eclipse Foundation infrastructure, and wanted to ensure that nothing breaks. So in JakartaEE 9, it's another step forward. What we're doing is, and I think Ivar has already mentioned, we removed some of the older technologies that are not being used anymore. And with that, we lowered the entry barriers for maybe new vendors who would like to get into this field. Then what we have done is we have established this platform actually as a baseline for innovation. So we're inviting new developers with new ideas to figure out where do we want to go with this technology. And then with easy migration, what we mean is actually the major big change is related to the namespace change. So with that, the thinking was that it will enable the existing vendors and the whole ecosystem, so developer tools and different platforms, to adopt the namespace change a little bit better, and that will enable easier migration. Talking about namespace, Ivar, maybe you want to touch on that a little bit more?
Sure. So what we're talking about here is that we're moving everything from the javax namespace to the Jakarta namespace, and that is a pretty major thing, even though it's kind of just switching text. But I think it's easier to actually see it in action, what we mean by this. So I think I'll run a demo and show how we do it. And for this demo, I've prepared an application. Oh, I see I have the wrong slide set. There we go. So I have prepared this application here that I will be running on on different servers and show you how to do it and do a namespace migration. And this is kind of a typical Jakarta EE application. It has a REST resource, use some EJB or the Duke service there. Then it uses some Jakarta persistence in the Duke's repository, queries a database, gets some stuff, and promotes this as a JSON in the browser. And I also added a CDI extension that prints a log message while the application is starting up. So it's a pretty typical, simple Jakarta EE application. And what I will do is to take the application and run it first on Glassfish 5 with Jakarta E8. Then I'll convert it, the namespace, to Jakarta E9 and run it on Glassfish 6. So let's go through and see how it looks.
And let's see how much time do you need for that.
Yeah. So I hope you have plenty of time, but no, it's not that hard actually. So let's see here. My POM file here is very simple. It's a typical Jakarta EE POM file. I have Jakarta E8 here. Let's just walk through the code and look at the resource, which is saying querying the calling an EJB here, the Duke service. And the Duke service is then again injecting a repository, calling the repository to find all messages in the database, and then pick the first one or use a default one if there are no messages there. And the repository is using a persistent unit called Duke's persistent unit, and it is using criteria language here to query the database and just get everything there. So it's a very simple, typical Jakarta EE application. Then also if you notice that I have this Duke's annotation here, that just says hi there. And this is used by the Duke's extension class, which is just picking up, finding a class. If it has this Duke's annotation, then I'll just print a log message when the application starts. And this is just to show different aspects of the application and the namespace change. Let's go ahead and start this one. Let me just see here if my keyboard works. There we go. So I have Glassfish 5.1 running here. I'll deploy this application. And while it's deploying, let's look in the log here and see if we can see this message from the CDI extension. And there you can see it says, hi there, in the log. So it works fine, at least it deploys. So let's go ahead and run it. It's running here, Glassfish server. And let's invoke the complete Duke hello endpoint. And you can see it says hello to Jakarta E8. So everything seems to work. So let's go ahead and change this application to a Jakarta E9. And the first thing I'll do then is to update my POM file. So go ahead here and replace 8 with 9. Then I'll reload the project, and then we'll see what happens. And the first thing you will notice is that the everything that has the javax namespace doesn't compile anymore because it's not there. So what I have to do is to fix these imports, and of course I could do this in bulk by just taking search and replace or use the IDE to do a bulk change. But in some cases, you want to go in manually and just make sure that it's the correct one that is picked. So it's kind of a manual labor to do this, but you see that for some of the classes there are some alternatives, and you just don't want to pick the wrong one, because then you can get some weird behavior in your application. And it's kind of tedious work, but you'll get the get it going. It's not super hard. So it's mostly just replace the imports with the Jakarta EE counterpart, and the IDE is doing the work for me. So here you can see the producer's annotation. Just make sure you don't use the CDI producer. It's a Jakarta REST example. And the same thing here for the Jakarta REST application.
Oh my God! But that's it.
It's not a Faces application, yeah. So yeah, so then we change all the code, and that wasn't so hard. Even this simple application, it's pretty fast. But there are some other steps you also need to check, and we have some configuration files here, and for example, the persistence XML. And you can see this. It's a Duke's persistent unit. And what you should notice here is the XML namespaces. And while we've been communicating, it's always javax to Jakarta, but it's actually also jcp.org to Jakarta EE. So there are some XML things here to change. And it's mostly just changed JCP to Jakarta. And we also added an S there to be secure. So, and also the location of the file here at the end. Where are we? There we go. And the standard for these Java EE, Jakarta EE has always been to have the version number in the file name. So you need to change to the correct version of this, and persistent is 3.0. And here you can see the namespace is actually read in, it's validated, and you can see you get an error because you're not using a correct version number. And now it validates fine.
Ivar,
so
I have a question. Can
yes?
I make it right now?
Yes.
So, well, you mentioned about this change in the packages, and it's always advertised like it's moving javax to Jakarta.
Yeah.
But is there any other change on reorganizing packages, or it's only the first part of the qualified full name of the class what it is changed?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's only the first, so you can actually do it by text replace. And that is the easy migration step. We didn't want to make too much other changes, so you would get into trouble. So it's always just change javax with Jakarta.
Okay, thank you.
So we did the Java code, and we did the XML namespaces. No, the XML namespaces aren't. Not all servers are very picky about this, but if they are, then you won't be able to deploy your application. So it's a good practice to update them. You can also notice these properties, and these are the Jakarta persistent properties, and they are prefixed with javax. And properties are also affected by the namespace. So everything here, javax, is Jakarta now. So in addition to the Java source import statements and the XML schema names, it's also the names of properties. And there is actually more. If you remember the CDI extension I have, the way you configure a CDI extension is that you have this bootstrapping file where you have the fully qualified class name to the extension itself. And this file is called javax enterprise inject. So that has to be renamed as well. So also the bootstrapping files. has to be renamed. And you can see it's always just the javax to Jakarta. So now I've done all the changes, and I'll open up the servers again, and I'll go ahead and deploy this application to Glassfix 6 running here. For some reason, my computer is very tired right now. But,
it's the end of the day.
Yeah, it is. So it's deploying here. And we should be able to see the message from the extension when the application starts up in the log file here. Let's just increase this a little. So there we are. It's deploying, and it should deploy something. There you go. It's figuring out the persistent things. And there you go. It says, hi there. So the CDI extension works. So let's go and invoke this application. And this one is on port 8080. That's where I have the Glassfix 6 running. And let's go and invoke the endpoint. And it works, but it's JakartaEE 8. So there is actually one more thing you have to remember to change, and that is if you have some data in your database that could be affected by the namespace. And you may have properties there, or you may have data like this greeting. That's not very likely to have a hello JakartaEE 8 in your application, but anyway. But if you have property names or anything else, other configuration running from your database or data sources or somewhere else, then that's probably a change you have to do as well. Because if you're building class names dynamically, for example, you'll need to fix that. So if you have any string concatenations to build a class and do some lookup on it, then you'll need to update that as well. So now I've updated the database, and I'll go back and refresh the browser, and now it says JakartaEE 9. So there it works. That wasn't so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. To recap, what I did here is first update your POM file. The second thing you do, fix your import so it compiles. Check your XML schema namespaces. Rename properties. Rename any bootstrapping files, and check if you have any dynamic content that needs to be changed. And if we want to go through this exercise with this simple application I have here, then go to this link on GitHub. Find the complete Duke sample there, and it has a step-by-step guide that goes through the 6 steps, and you have converted your first application from JakartaEE 8 to JakartaEE 9.
And once you do that, let us know, tweet about it, and let us know that you actually are using Jakarta namespace, hashtag embrace Jakarta or hashtag JakartaEE 9. Any way you can, let us know.
Yeah. So JakartaEE 9.1.
.1. So we're done. So we're moving already. We just released 9, and now you're moving forward.
Oh yes, we are. We're working on adding a Java SE 11 support to 9.1. The timeline is not final yet, but by end of January, early February, we should have a plan ready for when we can release 9.1. And it looks like it could be sometime in this quarter. So end of March, beginning of April. Sometime around there is something we are aiming for. And 9.1 will be very small changes, and those changes we do will be mostly associated with the upgrade from Java SE 8 support to Java SE 9. And if we look a little bit beyond after that, it could be a Jakarta EE 9.2 or a Jakarta EE 10. We haven't decided on the version number yet. We will be using semantic versioning there. But it looks like it will probably be a Jakarta E10. And the reason for that is that we will get probably get some new specifications. And the CDI team is working right now on a CDI Lite version. And that is a specification that will be a subset of CDI. It will be without the dynamic nature of CDI. So it will be able to do ahead of time compilation, for example, with GraalVM and supporting that kind of runtimes. So that work is ongoing. There are weekly meetings and pretty good progress and good discussions going on there. So join that mailing list and those calls. It's every Tuesday, I think. That's good stuff happening there. We will look at some sort of release cadence. We haven't decided yet. I think we'll see if we can fall in naturally somehow. We did Jakarta E8 last year, Jakarta E9 this year. We're doing 9.1 now, and maybe 9.2 or 10 later this year. So maybe 1 to each year, something around there. But we will definitely be releasing more often than before. We need to do some decoupling in the test suites. The TCK is a little bit too entangled. And also some of the specifications are having dependencies on each other. So it makes it difficult to do small changes that doesn't ripple through the entire system. We want to have some sort of alignment with the Java SE version. So we don't come into situations where people are asking what Java SE version will Jakarta EE version X support. We'll have some predictability so you can plan for it, and it will be natural which Java SE version that is selected. Some new APIs we're looking at that are potential candidates for adding are Jakarta NoSQL. It's already producing some alphas and betas around there, so they are pretty well ahead, and it's a candidate for Jakarta EE in the future. Whether it's Jakarta E10 or 11, that remains to be seen, but definitely a candidate. They also need more help, and we need more implementations. We have one compatible implementation, but we would like to see more. Jakarta MVC is currently in version 2.0 and has moved to the Jakarta namespace, so it's ready for inclusion without any changes, actually. So, but we're still developing that specification, and it's also a candidate for inclusion in the web profile in a Jakarta E10 release. Some form of configuration mechanism is requested, and we will look at how that will be done, whether it's a direct use of a microprofile config, for example, or if microprofile config is somehow taken over by Jakarta EE, or if it's however that is solved in the future. But we need some sort of configuration mechanisms in Jakarta EE, and that is something we will probably have ready for next version. Some other potential updates here and there. Jakarta Security version 1.0 in Java EE 8 was kind of basic and gave a solid foundation for security configured in applications for Jakarta EE in a simple way. So kind of a developer-centric way of configuring security. And there are work that remains there. So on the table there are OpenID Connect, OAuth to JSON Web Tokens, and some other stuff that we didn't have time to do then. Okay, we have some duplications of slides here. Oh no, I'm going back. Sorry, it happens.
Wrong
It's
button,
late.
wrong button.
I'll blame the computer is slow. I'll blame it.
Yeah,
Always
yeah.
blame the computer.
Of course,
So,
technology sucks.
yeah. So concurrency are looking at some CDI alignment here and there, some convenience annotations that can be useful. Messaging is also considering, or are actually going to continue the CDI alignment that was started, and adding some other protocols to support, such as Kafka, MQP, MQTT, that kind of things. Jakarta persistence, want to make it simpler, look at some standard caching mechanism. It's a candidate there. Multi-tenancy support has been mentioned, and some updates to make JPQL a little bit simpler, maybe. And Jakarta REST also has some CDI stuff that they have to update in order to move away from their own stuff to be fully CDI, and maybe add some multi-part form data and some Java SE stuff there as well. And there are more specifications, and many of them are planning things. The JakartaEE ambassadors has a good document where they've gathered community input. So if you're interested in anything, it's just to join these projects and start filing issues and sending pull requests. So
Yeah,
do you want to sum up, Tanja?
Sure. But before even summing it up, I just want to say, consider this as an invitation to you to get involved. Let us know what would you like to see in the next release. Any thoughts that you may have with regards to further development of the technology, do let us know. So in summary of the presentation, just kind of to make sure that people do understand that JakartaEE 9 is actually the release that is lowering entry barriers for new vendors to adopt this technology. It is providing easy migration, because the major big change is the namespace change. And without any further new feature developments, this is the time to actually do that migration. And with that, we're establishing the base platform for innovation. So this is the true opportunity for everyone to jump on board and join various projects or the community, and let us know how would they want to be involved. Here are some pointers. So the most important one, Jakarta.EE. Tons of blogs that you can actually immediately get plugged in and publish a blog on this technology or related technologies, and how does that impact you. Ivar has great weekly hashtag that provides regular updates on what is going on with JakartaEE community. And then if that's too frequent for you, we have also a monthly blog that I put out for the community. So you can follow that one as well.
Yeah, and if you want to join us, join any mailing list to the projects, you can use this QR code and get directly to this URL. It's JakartaEE/connect. And there you'll find all the mailing lists, the Slack channel, the YouTube channel, and all the ways you can connect with us. So, and you can also find the connect link on the top of the JakartaEE page if you can't remember Jakarta.EE, but here it's for convenience.
And Twitter is always available, so please feel free to reach us via Twitter or any other forum. We're available and looking forward for your input. And thank you very much.
Yeah, that was what we had. So hope you enjoyed it.
All
And
yes.
Yeah, it's been very, very interesting. Also to not only focus on the migration and technical points, but also on the specification, on the process, on defining it. I think it's very interesting. Mostly if people can share this feeling of committing or helping to the specification, so that's very interesting. I don't see any further questions. We've been around 22 people live during the event, so I think, well, considering the hour and the situation and the elections over there, or well, the result of them, we can be very proud of having such an audience. Thank you very much to everyone for being here. This video is recorded and live now, but recorded in our YouTube channel, so you can check it out whenever you can. And if you have any other questions, please reach us or reach them using their Twitter handles in order to get more information about Jakarta. Well, thank you very much, Tanja, Ivar, for this great presentation, and hopefully we will have you again soonish. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
De nada. Good night, good evening, good afternoon, buenas noches, buena tarde a tothom.